Hello, and welcome to Pop and Fig. In this episode, I'm going to go over what each of the Infinity Stones do. Now, if you have no idea what those are, you've come to the right place. If you know a little bit about them, you've also come to the right place. So with that, I hope you enjoy. So before I begin, I will say this. This video is part 3 of a 5-video series on what you should know within the Marvel movies, also known as the MCU Summary. So there will be a link to that in the back of this. There will be a link to the playlist if you didn't know that as you were walking into this video. Okay, so Infinity Stones. What are they? Now, there's 6 different ones, and each ones are pretty much a different aspect of the universe, such as space, time, reality, power/energy, stuff like that. So there are 6 stones, and I will get into what each of them do in the order that they appeared. So in a way, it is a chronological order, opposed to like a color order or order of power or stuff like that. So the Space Stone. The Space Stone is blue, and counting the post-credit scenes it's appeared in, it has appeared in 5 different Marvel movies before the release of Avengers: Infinity War. It and the Mind Stone, which I'll get into next, are the most popular of these Infinity Stones. Okay, so what does it do? So it comes in the form of the Tesseract that we see, and as the Tesseract, it is a source of power and like a teleportation device. As the Infinity Stone itself, with like all of its other powers, it can allow teleportation, but it can also provide telekinetic powers, like moving things with your mind, as well as like manipulating gravity, probably like maybe like I can start floating for a little bit, and it can change tangibility, meaning like I could just go through this wall if I wanted to. So those are like pretty much the main powers of the Space Stone. Now, you might be thinking, that doesn't sound that powerful other than the cool teleportation part. To be honest, if you think about it, if you had that, you'd easily be the most powerful person in the world. So the Mind Stone, which comes in 2 forms, as the Scepter, Loki's Scepter, and Vision, who I have not talked yet in my other 2 videos, which I'll talk in my next one if you're watching this little series. So the Mind Stone is yellow, and including the post-credit scenes, it has also been in 5 movies. As in the form of Loki's Scepter, it really only did 2 things, and that was projecting energy blasts and mind control. That was all it was used for. So what did it do when it was a part of Vision? So Vision, for those of you that don't know, he's like this red android, part human, part machine. Not like Cyborg from DC, nothing like that at all. And he has the Mind Stone in his forehead after it was placed. And I'll get into that later in a different video. So what did it do in Vision's forehead? So Vision had with the Mind Stone, he had the ability to project a very powerful laser beam, as well as the ability of flight and the ability of intangibility, similar to the Space Stone, how it could just go through things. So that's the powers that Vision got. And that's pretty much all the Mind Stone does, but it mostly involves the mind, whether that might be given knowledge or just mind control, stuff like that, given by the name of the Mind Stone. So the third Infinity Stone to appear was the Reality Stone, also, which came in the form of the Ether. Now this stone, next to the Soul Stone, is the least popular in all of the MCU, and here is why. This movie only appeared in 1 movie before Avengers: Infinity War, and it was one of Marvel's least popular Marvel movies, which was Thor: The Dark World. So some of you might be wondering, what was that movie again? It was kind of weird. I honestly prefer that one over the first, though, but that's just personal preference, I think. Others people would highly differ. In the form of the Ether, in that movie, it was pretty much just used to like launch floating, dangerous red crystal shards, and it was not used the way we would actually envision it, and how it was later used in Infinity War. So I'll just explain how that one works. So pretty much what the Reality Stone does is that it changes how reality kind of appears. So like it can like make entire areas like look completely different, like a mask. It's like, let's say, like it could be pretty much used to like change yourself into like the best Halloween costume ever. Pretty much all it does is adds on to the current reality, or masks our current reality with the new reality projected by the wielder. So the next Infinity Stone to appear was the Power Stone, which was in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Grandma, I hope you have not seen that movie still. Okay, so the Power Stone, what does that one do? So this one actually and the Soul Stone are the only ones that actually are bare. Like the Space Stone is in the Tesseract. The Reality Stone was, well, it's debatable as either it was the Ether or it was inside the Ether. And then there's like the Mind Stone, and this one's bare. It's in a container. So this container honestly all it does is inhibit the power of the Power Stone. So the Power Stone within the Marvel movies literally just blows up stuff. That is literally all it does. It just blows up stuff and projects like high energy. That's all it does. So that's a simple explanation. And this movie has also only appeared in one movie, but it's a much more popular one too. Now we are at the Time Stone. So the Time Stone, this one's debatable to being in 1 or 3 movies if you count post-credit. The movie it's pretty much just in is the Doctor Strange movie. And it comes in the form of the Eye of Agamotto. Now in the comics, the Eye of Agamotto was like a weird eye that was like on Doctor Strange's forehead. They gave him weird knowledge. In the movies, it's completely different. It's just like an amulet on a necklace that actually isn't a real eye. Which, oh man, thank goodness. Sorry to get all comic-y on you. The Time Stone, all it does, it pretty much does the same whether or not it's in the Eye of Agamotto. What it could do is it could let you see into the future or look into the past. It could let you pretty much manipulate time, whether that's making time go faster, time go slower, or pretty much going into the future, seeing, I do this because it kind of shows up as how you would use it, kind of like, if you haven't seen Doctor Strange, you won't understand what I'm doing, but pretty much it can reverse time and kind of go into the future a little bit, or show little parts of the future. But it's pretty much just used to undo things. That's pretty much how it's mostly used. So yeah, that's also pretty easy to explain. Now, the Soul Stone. Now, the Soul Stone has, its first appearance was Avengers Infinity War. And this one is probably the least understood of them all. It took me my second viewing of Infinity War to finally realize what it did, and that it's the exact same purpose as the comics. So if you've heard the theories that after the events of Avengers Infinity War, that Vision was stuck in the Mind Stone, or Doctor Strange had cursed or was in the Time Stone, which honestly that's a bunch of gibberish, and if you don't understand me, I don't blame you. If you've heard that stuff, this is why it is false, and it is because of what the Soul Stone does in the first place. The Soul Stone is a containment unit. In the comics, it would pretty much contain its own realm known as Soul World. So pretty much it just had people, or rather souls. In the movies it would be a much more weirder concept, but not in the comics actually. Pretty much it just sucks people into this weird realm known as Soul World. That's all I'm going to say. In the comics though, it was more colorful, but that's also because in the comics it was a green stone, whereas in the movies it's orange. And in this movie, Soul World, or supposedly Soul World, is just orange. So that's something to keep in mind. So yeah, that is what each of the Infinity Stones do. So the Space Stone, which controls space, is blue. The Mind Stone, which is yellow, pretty much controls the mind. The Reality Stone, which is red, pretty much controls all of reality. The Power Stone, which pretty much just blows up stuff, is purple. The Time Stone, which mostly just undoes stuff, but any other time thing pretty much, is green. And the Soul Stone is orange. So that is all you need to know about Infinity Stones. Okay guys, that's all I have in this video for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a whole lot more about Infinity Stones than you had known before, especially about the Soul Stone, since that is the most misunderstood. So I hope you liked it. I hope you give this video a like and subscribe if you aren't currently subscribed. So with that, sayonara.